On today's First Talk, the Knicks made headlines again, and this time, it's head coach Mike Brown stirring the conversation. Right out of the gate, Brown has taken a clear stance when it comes to his core player. In a casual airport exchange with a fan traveling from California, the new Knicks head coach didn't dodge questions about the big rumors circulating, specifically potential blockbuster trades involving Giannis Antetokounmpo and LeBron James. The fan jokingly asked if one of those stars was heading to New York, and Brown responded decisively, "I'm not trading my wings." That comment might seem small, but here on First Talk, all three of us agree it carries weight. It's a clear sign of how Mike Brown sees his roster. He's all in on guys like Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby, and that says something, especially as the Knicks continue to be one of the most active teams in trade discussions this offseason. Stephen A. jumped in to point out that Brown's response isn't just a fun soundbite, it's a statement of intent. The Knicks are trying to build something sustainable, and Brown wants to keep the defensive backbone of this team intact. That includes wings who played a crucial role in their deep playoff run. Meanwhile, with July 7th marking the start of extension eligibility for several key Knicks, things just got more interesting. According to sources, Mikal Bridges is now eligible for a 4-year, $156 million extension. Karl Anthony Towns could lock in a 2-year deal worth $150 million, and Mitchell Robinson is in line for a 4-year, $89 million extension. Now, before fans panic about the numbers, it's important to clarify that these aren't guaranteed deals. They're just the maximum figures possible under the CBA. But it's clear the Knicks will have to prioritize, and timing matters. On the show, Brian Windhorst chimed in with a reminder. Towns still has time left on his deal, while Bridges is headed into the final year of his. And when it comes to who gets locked up first, it's looking like Mikal is the front office's top priority. Why? Because, as our panel emphasized, there's a connection there. Leon Rose and the Knicks brass went out and brought in Bridges. Mitchell Robinson, on the other hand, predates this regime. That doesn't mean the Knicks don't value him, but it might mean the urgency isn't quite the same. Kendrick Perkins added something we all nodded at. Mitchell Robinson's future is tied more closely to his health and performance this coming season. He's still a defensive anchor, but his injury history means the front office might want to see how things play out before committing to a long-term extension. Bottom line, Mike Brown is already setting the tone for his tenure in New York. He's building loyalty with his players and letting the fan base and the rest of the league know that he's not looking to gut the core that got them to the conference final. Stick around, because things are just heating up in New York. And if we've learned anything watching this team under Leon Rose, it's that every decision is calculated and part of a bigger plan. New York Knicks' off-season strategy, particularly surrounding the uncertain future of center Mitchell Robinson. One of the hosts noted that while the Knicks recognize Robinson's potential impact when healthy, the ongoing concerns over his durability have made the front office hesitant to commit to a contract extension this summer. If the big man proves he can stay on the floor consistently, a deal could be reconsidered down the line, but right now, it's a wait-and-see situation. From there, the discussion pivoted to the major headline grabbers of the NBA offseason, Giannis Antetokounmpo and LeBron James. According to the show, both stars continue to dominate trade speculation, with whispers connecting each to the Knicks. While it wasn't in the initial plans to revisit LeBron to New York rumors yet again, the buzz has only grown louder. One analyst on the panel shared the belief that Giannis has long admired the idea of playing at Madison Square Garden. However, his loyalty to Milwaukee remains strong, and sources suggest he would only consider leaving if the Bucks' title hopes completely dissolve. It's worth noting that Antetokounmpo had a significant voice in Milwaukee's decision to acquire center Miles Turner this offseason. Yet, despite that move, there's skepticism among the First Talk crew about whether Turner is truly a number 2 option on a championship-caliber roster. The general consensus? Milwaukee still has work to do. Meanwhile, veteran insider Ramona Shelburne was cited during the discussion, with one host pointing out that Shelburne believes any major decision from Giannis, whether staying or requesting a move, won't come until August or September, once the Bucks' roster is fully evaluated. When the conversation shifted to LeBron James, the tone got even more speculative. Tim Bontemps and Brian Windhorst, according to Sports Illustrated, have both acknowledged that multiple teams have quietly inquired about James's availability. While no formal trade talks have begun, Windhorst reportedly changed his tone from having the door locked on a LeBron deal to now merely closed, signaling a subtle but important shift. For the first time in his career, LeBron is on an expiring contract. The panel then reflected on LeBron's timeline. Now heading into year 23 and approaching his 41st birthday in December, James remains an outlier in NBA history, still producing at an elite level when most of his peers have long retired. One of the commentators mentioned how rare it is for a player at that age to be averaging 25 points per game, and speculated that LeBron's desire to continue stems partly from a personal drive to stretch his career to a 25th season, further separating himself from the pack and locking down his all-time scoring record. While the physical decline is inevitable for most, the analysts agreed that barring a major injury, LeBron still has enough in the tank to be an all-star level contributor. But what remains unclear is whether he still wants to chase championships or just continue building his legacy. One host questioned whether a pairing with Luka Doncic in Dallas, especially after the Mavericks lost key rotation players and made few upgrades in free agency, would be enough to satisfy LeBron's ambition. As for potential landing spots, the panel emphasized that Cleveland is effectively ruled out due to the new second apron tax complication, which leaves New York as one of the very few viable options. And that's where the conversation circled back to the Knicks. At the same time, whispers around Giannis continue to grow. According to the show, Antetokounmpo has already established multiple business ventures in New York and is known to enjoy spending time there. One panelist flat out said he'd pick New York over just about anywhere else. The implication? If Giannis ever does decide to move on from Milwaukee, Madison Square Garden could be at the top of his list. The panel on First Talk didn't hold back when discussing where Giannis Antetokounmpo and LeBron James might land if either star were to ask out. And according to the crew, the Brooklyn Nets aren't even in the conversation. They're simply not a competitive destination right now, one analyst said bluntly. That narrows things down fast, and by process of elimination, all signs keep pointing to the New York Knicks as the premier landing spot for either superstar. In the minds of the panelists, it's clear both LeBron and Giannis view New York as a legitimate contender. If I had to be traded somewhere, one host suggested, the Knicks would probably be at the top of my list. It's not just the market or the mystique. New York is right on the doorstep of a finals appearance. They're the current favorites in the Eastern Conference and trail only the Oklahoma City Thunder in overall odds to win the championship. As one of the commentators joked, that sentence still feels wild to say out loud. This Knicks squad isn't just good, they're built to win now. That's why the idea of plugging in a generational talent like LeBron or Giannis becomes so tantalizing, but it also raises tough questions about who would have to be sacrificed to make a trade work. Could the Knicks part with Mikal Bridges or OG Anunoby? Those are the real decisions that would define the franchise's next chapter. Bridges is coming off a solid campaign, averaging nearly 18 points per game while chipping in 3 rebounds and 3 assists. He was a defensive standout, particularly in the playoffs, shooting 50% from the field overall and knocking down over 42% of his looks from the corners. He had his ups and downs, sure, but his two-way value is undeniable. OG Anunoby, on the other hand, arguably had the best season of his career. He posted 18 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists per contest, along with 1.5 steals and a block per game. He connected on 37% of his threes and shot 47% from the floor overall. His perimeter defense was elite all season, and despite being snubbed from the all-defensive teams, the First Talk crew unanimously agreed that he was among the league's best on that end. Now in his prime, and under a coach like Mike Brown, OG's offensive role is likely to grow even more. Still, if the Knicks want to swing big, one or both of those names might have to be on the table. There's also the potential of including someone like Josh Hart or Mitchell Robinson to balance out a trade financially, especially if it involves a returning star on a max contract. That's where the complexity really kicks in. Would a trade bring back just LeBron or Giannis, or would there be other moving pieces involved? When comparing the two stars, the numbers speak volume. LeBron still averaged over 24 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists last season. He shot 51% from the field and 37% from three, while adding a steal per game. He's not the LeBron of 2010, one host said, but he's still a top-tier player. Meanwhile, Giannis is right in the middle of his prime, putting up MVP-caliber numbers with 30 points, 12 rebounds, and over 6 assists per game. He added a steal and a block per game, while converting an absurd 60% of his field goal. He's still him, one analyst flatly stated. So what's stopping the Knicks from making a move? As always, it's about cost and timing. Trading for a star often means gutting your depth, which could undo much of what's made this team so strong. Depth has been the Knicks' greatest asset, and under Mike Brown, who plans to utilize a deep rotation, disrupting that balance could backfire. There's also the matter of whether either player actually wants to be traded. LeBron holds a no-trade clause, meaning any deal would need his approval. And the Bucks are not likely to move Giannis unless he makes it absolutely clear that he's ready to leave. According to the panel, the only way a trade for Antetokounmpo materializes is if he says, "I'm done. I've given everything I had. You didn't do enough. It's time." Interestingly, sources say Mike Brown loves the current Knicks roster and doesn't want major changes. He believes they can win a title as constructed without needing to mortgage the future for a big name. The show closed with the crew highlighting that the only real obstacles in the Knicks' path are the Thunder and the Nugget, and with only one of them standing between New York and a title, confidence remains sky high. The final question posed on the program was simple. If you had the chance to land one of these stars, who would you choose? And at what cost? Giannis would require a larger package, no doubt, but either one could be the final piece. The hosts left it up to the fans to decide, urging them to weigh in with their takes.